Hey Joe fans, I'm John Setzler. Welcome back to Kamado Joe Cooking Channel. Today we're going to cook some fish, and I'm going to do something a little unique with it. We are going to do some barbecued swordfish steaks. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is put together a quick marinade for this fish. I'm going to start out with 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil, 1 tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 clove of freshly minced garlic, 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1/2 teaspoon of dried rosemary, 1/2 teaspoon of rubbed sage, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And we're just going to mix all that together. Next thing we're going to do is take the star of our show, which is 2 really nice sized swordfish steaks. I'm going to set these guys in a Ziploc bag, and we are going to pour our marinade in there with that. And we're going to turn those around really well to get these guys coated and get them completely coated in our marinade. And then we're going to toss these in the refrigerator. We're going to get all the air we can out of this bag. We're going to toss these in the refrigerator and let them marinate for about 2 hours. While our fish is finishing up marinating, I'm going to light up the charcoal in our Kamado Joe Classic. I've got all my charcoal pushed over to the left side here. We're going to set up for some 2-zone cooking, and I'm going to use 2 Kamado Joe fire starters to get this fire going, because I'm going to want a fairly hot cook here, and we're going to let that burn with the lid open for about 10 minutes. Now that we've got our fire going, I'm going to place the divide and conquer flexible cooking system in, and what I've got set up here today is on the right side over here. I have my heat deflector in the low position to set up for an indirect side, and I've got my cast iron grate in the low position on the left side. We're going to do some direct searing of this fish, and once we have seared the fish, we are going to move it over to the opposite side and let it finish cooking. So I'm going to set my regular grill rack over the indirect side, and I'm going to close the lid. We're going to leave the bottom vent fully open on this grill, and I'm going to leave the top vent probably about 1/3 of the way open. We want to get a dome temperature of about 500 degrees here, so we're going to make that adjustment right here and let it come up to about 500 degrees. While our grill's coming up to temperature, we're going to go ahead and get our finishing baste put together for this fish. And what we're going to do to make this barbecued swordfish is we're going to put a glaze on it near the end of the cook. And I'm going to start out with some of this E's Best Barbecue Smoky Mountain finishing sauce. And this stuff is a really good example of what a Western North Carolina style barbecue sauce should be. So we're going to start out with about 1/4 cup or so, maybe a little bit more, of the E's Best Smoky Mountain finishing sauce. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin that out just a little bit with a splash of the good stuff. So we're going to put in maybe just a couple of tablespoons of Maker's Mark whiskey, and I'm going to give that a good mix. And we're just going to set this aside, and we will be seeing this in action once we start cooking the fish. Okay, we've finished marinating our fish, so I'm going to take it out of the Ziploc bag, and we're just going to set it on a plate here, and I am going to dump on the remaining marinade. We're not going to waste any of that. I'm going to give that a rub over there, and I'm going to flip this and get it coated on both sides again. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to coat both sides of this with a light layer of the Kamado Joe Smokey Paprika rub. If you don't have this, you can use any barbecue rub you like, and I don't want to put a real heavy coat on there. We're just going to do it about like that, and then I'm going to pat it in. We're going to flip it over and then hit the backside with it as well. And while we're doing that, I need to go find Ashni to find out what we're going to do next.
Let's put that bad boy on the grill.
Okay, Joe fans, our grill's nice and hot. I'm going to open the lid and I'm going to hit the grill grate here with just a little bit of cooking spray. Be careful with that to keep the fish from having a chance to stick. And we're going to drop both of these on here for about 2 minutes aside, and I'm going to give them a little twist about a minute into that. Okay, we're about a minute in, so I'm going to give these guys a little turn to give us some nice grill marks on this fish. We'll let it go for another minute. Okay, we're about 2 minutes in, so I'm going to get under these guys and flip them over. And we're going to repeat that process. Okay, we've been going for about 2 minutes aside. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to take both of these guys and move them over to the indirect side of the grill. And now that we're on the indirect side, I'm going to baste these with that Ease Best Smoky Mountain finishing sauce that we had, that we cut with a little bit of the Maker's Mark whiskey. We're just going to drizzle some of that on there and let that glaze over. And we're going to finish these on the indirect side of the grill. And to check to see if your fish is ready, you're going to want to be able to put an internal temperature probe in there of about get it to about 140 degrees. So we're going to check the temperature on these, and that one's at about 95. So we're going to close the lid and let these finish up. Okay, Joe fans, these bad boys are ready, and what I want to do here is just take a cut into that and give you a nice look at what this looks like. Let's see, I don't know how well this is showing up on video. Look at that. You see how juicy that fish is? Let's have a taste of this. Man, once again, if you could smell this, it'd be sold. You'd already be headed to the store to get some swordfish and some of these ingredients to try to make this. This smells outstanding. Let's have a taste. Man, that swordfish is melt in your mouth, tender, juicy. The barbecue sauce and whiskey finish on this is really amazing. That whiskey flavor is hanging in there, along with the Ease Best Smoky Mountain finishing sauce. And like I said, that's a perfect example of a Western North Carolina style barbecue sauce. It's a red sauce that's got sweetness, kind of like a Kansas City sauce, but it also has a little bit of bite to it. Not a whole lot, just the right amount, which makes it indicative of the Western North Carolina style. The fish is outstanding. You guys have got to try this recipe. I'll have all the ingredients and techniques listed in the video description. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Kamado Joe, and follow us on Twitter @Kamado Joe. Until next time, this is John Setzler with Kamado Joe Cooking Channel.